it also, all this publicity is giving them a way to shape up their attack that I'm sure is coming. I'm very happy that we have Dr. Amos Wilson here today, who has foreseen all of this for decades, who has written about it, who has documented it, and who will lay out for us today his own particular take on this very critical issue, and also his model for change. Having said that, I'd like to welcome my brother, Dr. Amos Wilson.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your welcome and your invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you again this afternoon to talk a bit about the subject matter of the day, the media's insidious destruction of African family values. I apologize somewhat in advance if my delivery today is a little bit disjointed because some scheduled demands that I've had to sort of undergo here. We were down in D.C. yesterday with the Congressional Black Caucus and doing some radio programs dealing with the so-called violence initiative that I'm sure some of you are familiar with, in terms of the notion that an initiative by the federal government includes research which would attempt to locate some genetic marker for violence and to use such research to identify young inner city black males as early as age 5 so that they may be treated appropriately. The idea being that these genes or a gene marker can predict who is going to be prone to violence at a later age. Of course, this is a ridiculous idea. It really doesn't deserve the kind of energy that's in it, except for the implications of the discussion and the implications of just the idea being raised. The idea of a gene for violence is silly. It's about as silly as a gene for intelligence, you see. And another thing that you have to, when you hear these kind of discussions, the first thing you want to do is just look at the words as they're being used and analyze the words. It's very important that we analyze words. Violence. That sounds so complete within itself. But when you really start thinking about it, you begin to recognize immediately that violence is not a monolithic concept at all. In fact, violence ultimately is a vague concept. We use it a lot, but when you look at it, you can ask, what kind of violence? Defensive violence, the violence one may engage in defending themselves. Is the violence of war? You see that kind of violence? Or even giving your child a little spanking, that kind of violence? The violence of wife beating or what have you? Look at there are various varieties of violence. Is there then a gene for each one of these varieties? But of course, and how can you have a gene for crime? Again, crime covers hundreds of categories. Is there a gene for each crime, as we say? Or when we decided We're going to write something off as no longer a crime, does the gene disappear? You got all kinds of problems with these issues. But one of the things I always talk about, you know, is the inverse of reality that must occur when you have a small group of people ruling over a large group of people. People's whole interest and orientation must be turned backwards. They must get excited about relatively unimportant issues and ignore the fundamental issues, the real threats that they're confronted with. War, of course, is the most devastating form of violence. All of the muggings that we have in the streets of New York would not add up to death by war. When this world ends, it won't be ended by muggers in the street. It will be ended by, as I've said on other occasions, highly educated people using weapons developed by highly educated people, law-abiding people, people with little fair-haired kids, house on the corner, you know, videos and all that kind of stuff, who are professors in colleges, because these are the people who do what? Make the bombs, make the weapons, make the missiles, and all of these kind of things. And yet we will not study these people as perhaps possessing some genes for violence. Is there a gene for psychic violence? The kind of violence you do to a people's mind when you destroy their culture, their history, destroy their self-esteem, and the other kind of stuff. But I think what is even more interesting is the fact that the most devastating violence is perpetrated by your average law-abiding citizen, by your good Christian citizens. Haven't you thought it very peculiar that when the Army recruits, it does not recruit killers? Here is the greatest killing machine in the world, right? And yet it weeds out killers. It looks at your criminal record and says, we really don't want any criminals in here. What then do they want? Nice American people, Christian boys, right? Law-abiding boys, high school graduates, people with what? Clean records. Because they are the most conducive to making into killers. Why? Why do you want these people and you don't want the killers? And you don't want the criminals, and you don't want the muggers in the Army and so forth? Why is it that you don't want muggers and killers to be policemen? Why do you want nice all-American boys in the police force, as they call it? Apparently they make the best killers. And if you look at the record of the U.S. Army, that would seem to be the case. But you see, people want to make you think that the average so-called gang kid in the gang out here is fundamentally different from the rest of us. Therefore, they must have some kind of unique genetic orientation. And we don't look at the reality of the situation. Those people we won't permit to be our killers. We want people who don't have records to be our killers. Why? Well, they've been trained to submit to authority only, without thinking, you see. They've shown by their clean records that they're not rebels. So if their officer says, take that hill, off they will go. It doesn't matter what the point is. They're used to what? Bowing to authority and obeying authority unthinkingly. They have been trained into conformity. They have been psyched out by something